What an intro, Brian.
What an intro. I love that music, man. It's really grown on me. It's like a jingle.
Class.
It's Danny. How are you keeping, man?
Good, yeah, really good. Yeah, you were away there, weren't you? How did you get on?
Only back this morning. So nice and refreshed. Doesn't look like a proper R&R coming back into the office and all that.
Oh, yeah.
But no, nice relaxing time. Do you know what? I love coming in, just doing this podcast. It's I was looking forward to this all day. So still in R&R mode, even though we're doing work-ish kind of stuff, you know.
Good stuff. And here's the 1st of December. Can't believe that.
Yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? It's unreal. What a bloody year. What's next year going to look like? Let's not get into COVID and politics and all this kind of stuff.
We'll try to get into our planning, though. That's our topic for today, our planning for 2022. So we've only got a month left to get it sorted. So it's definitely the time to do it.
And do you know what, like planning for 2022, and I think we're going to be talking around some ideas around planning as well, but I think flexibility is a key because it's like the unknowns. I think it's always unknown of what is actually going to happen, and we have all of these plans and we can't get too attached to our plans, but now more than ever, because you just don't know what's in store like going forward, you know?
Absolutely, yeah, very true.
How did you get on this week with your 3 takeaway or your 3 to-dos?
Not great, to be honest with you.
Right.
So busy in a lot of things, getting a lot of things done. But in terms of my 3, the targets I had last week, I got 1 out of 3. So I had the workshop with Trinity today. So delivered that, prepared really well for that. That went really well. So delighted with that. So that's my 1. Then, but I didn't get to my communications plan for 2022 or for the end of the year even.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to I wanted to check in with students on my main course, and my 8-step framework course, and I didn't get to do that either. Right. So, yeah, they're effectively I need to get them done by the end of this week.
Right.
And the comms or the planning stuff. We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, it's closing in, isn't it? That's what I'm finding as well. I have a lot of quadrant 2 work. So quadrant 2 was the stuff, the planning, the delegation, the preparation, the real stuff that makes a difference. And that's what I really wanted to focus on. But I just feel everything's closing in now. The last month, it looks like I've lots of fires to put up. And it's interesting to me. 3 takeaways for next week. One of them is quite interesting. I haven't done it yet, but for the last week, I got 2 and a little bit out of 3. So I got the R&R in, really relaxing time. 2 lovely days down in Cabra Castle. Shout out to Cabra Castle. My God, how it's 4-star, I'll never know. Any fans at Downton Abbey, get yourself at Cabra Castle. It's like going back in time, and they've 2 lovely big Irish wolfhounds that are just on the grounds roaming around. Fabulous field. Everything.
I saw them on your Instagram, all right.
You see them on the Instagram. Yeah, it was great. So got that nailed for that week. Another one was the book I was reading, Unfair Advantages. So this is around the quadrant 2 stuff that I was talking about. So Unfair Advantages was a book looking at brand, looking at niche, looking at my website as well, all these little things going forward. But it's the reading the books, putting all these things together, the learning on the side. So I finished that book, so I'm delighted with that, and I'm onto a new book now as well around that as well. So delighted with that. I'm setting myself up to a nice little habit then. I haven't even got that on my list for next week. I think I've just created a little habit around that, which is nicely flown along. The 3rd one I didn't quite land, so I'm looking to get my Leo quote in for the website. So I need a 3rd quote, and I'm just waiting to get that 3rd quote so I can put the whole Leo quote grant proposal in. So nearly there on that, but I haven't ticked the box yet. So nearly there. So not too bad.
Good stuff. Yeah, I need to get back into that reading habit. That's definitely on my resolution list for 2022 to get back into it.
I tell you what, it fits into planning for next year. It's gonna. Today, and we said this, Brian. Like for this week, we're gonna do planning and prioritization this week and next week, and it's on my plan to do next week. So what we're going to be doing today for anyone listening is we're going to be talking about ways to plan. I think ways to prioritize, our thoughts on that as well. And then next week we're going to be going into the depths of how we got on and the tools that really worked.
Yeah, well, I think you're a little bit ahead of me on this, aren't you? I think you've probably started looking at it anyway.
Yes.
On your planning. So, where did you? So your plans are. Look, we're both looking at our businesses for 2022. We're probably a bit late, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least we're doing it now.
Yeah.
The plan for all of next year for the business. Where are you starting, or what did you start with?
Right. So interestingly, what I usually do, right? So for anyone, I'll give two-pronged answers to this. So what I would usually do is just throw everything on a page, all the things I need to do, and then try to prioritize them. Now, luckily, I've a virtual assistant that helps me with stuff as well. Pam is brilliant, and I've done this last year with her. So I had a call with Pam for an hour. We went through what I'd done last year, the boxes I ticked, and I done quite well. I was actually impressed with myself. That's impressed with what I got done. But I was so aligned. She actually says, well done. I was like, wow, that's actually patting the back for me. What? It was funny. But there was a few things I missed massively as well. And some things that I didn't do that I rightfully so didn't do. But it was a nice sounding board for that. So we basically...
So what is this though? So this is tasks or what that you wanted to get done this year?
Courses I want to do. So we basically just done the same again. So what I done was we went in and we looked at all the courses that I want to do this year, the grants that I want to get over the line, the website that I want to get done, and we just start looking at all the different things. So it was interesting. So Pam sent me, I'm going to look at this now. So Pam sent me a list. I got Pam to send me a list of the different bits and bobs that we took down. So new website launch, launch for a new brand. And now I have all of these added in now, but I need dates for all of them. New courses for 2022. I'm definitely doing a first course, which is an age reverse and habits course. I'm going to do a seminal course. I'm launching a podcast next year, and I'm going to be launching my new projects in the corporate arena as well, and then blogs and videos and stuff like that as well to create a funnel, to create funnels going forward as well. So we're all kind of aligned to the one goal. And what I've noticed is as well that it's nice to do this in tandem with the branding and the new website. It's worked nicely for me in terms of alignment because they all go hand in hand, and that's helping me. Reading all these books and having this brand is helping me to plan for 2022. So my values and my mission and my vision are aligned with the plans for next year. So basically at the moment, I have all of the big things that I want to do, and next week now I'm going to be putting dates on them all and getting realistic about it. That's
Okay, so so you started with a brainstorming exercise of things and tasks you want to get done for your business next year. Have you looked at it in this way? Have you looked at it in terms of, well, I'm a business owner, the business needs to generate revenue. So have you come at it from a revenue generating approach, or are you just looking at it purely in terms of things you want to get done and you're going to come to the revenue piece afterwards, or how's that working?
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting, Brian. So last year, I had a financial plan for this year, and I probably missed it by a couple of K, but it was actually pretty good. And I will be doing a financial plan again. So I haven't done that yet, but I do them completely separately. So I will do the plan first with what I have to do, the courses I expect, and then I look at what I expect to come in on the back of that financially. I could be doing that the wrong way around. So that's a really interesting one as well. Maybe
I don't know what the right way around is, just curious myself.
Yeah. So, and I will base that on last year's model. So it's really interesting as well. So I based my plan from last year, sort of based on I based my plans for the courses and all that stuff on what I planned for last year and what I got done. And I'll be doing the financial model on that as well. So it's really a rehash of that and an upgrade of that, an iteration of that going forward. But if anyone is out there just doing it from scratch, really what you've got to do from my perspective, and there's a couple of things I always keep in mind, right? It's like, because we can plan too much. Sometimes I often find that we overestimate what we can get done in a month, which is what I'm doing in December. I know I'm overestimating what I need to get done. It's going to be, some things are going to have to give, but we underestimate what we can do in like 5 or 10 years. And I think that's when we talk about quadrant 2 work and the branding and all this kind of stuff, that's where we need to be making space for quadrant 2 work, reading the books, planning, delegation, all of these different things, grants, getting money, because that's the long-term stuff. That's the 5 to 10 year long-term stuff. And if you put that work in consistently over time, that can build into incredible momentum. So we underestimate that long term. So I think it's really important to create white space. And it's interesting that you said that you need to make time for reading. I'm going to be putting in a lot of time. I think Monday, I'm going to be thinking about next year. Every Monday, it's going to be my newsletter, a video I want to create, and then my reading and learning day and other elements of that as well. So that's really critical in terms of that as well.
Nice.
One thing that I think is important, I heard it in a book one time, and it's like, you've got to be real about it as well, but you've got to aim big. So put your head in the clouds, but put your feet on the ground. And that's something that I try to do. Like, I'm aiming big, but you've got to be realistic with the plans as well, because we really do overestimate what we can get done in a short amount of time.
I like that, yeah. So on that idea, then, are you? So you've got your plan, or you're putting your plan together for 2022. But do you have as well then already completed like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan?
No, it's not on paper, but I very much have it done. Well, to be quite honest, I sort of do from my business proposal. I wouldn't have had it done only for that. So I sort of do. So I know I want to do a subscription plan for 2023. The podcast is a big one for next year as well. Subscription model for 2023. I forget what's in 2024 and 2025, but I do have plans around TV shows and stuff like that as well that I want to get done. Very much what we always talk about on this podcast is that them goals will change. They always do, because you don't know what's around the corner, especially with COVID coming up. Like, what is around the corner? We don't really know. People are zoomed out already with online courses. So what is that in store for? Because I noticed there was a real appetite for face-to-face stuff again, but now with this Omicron thing coming in, we don't know what it's going to look like. So I think flexibility and an ability to pivot and change is going to be really, really important.
Yeah, no, very well said. Yeah, flexibility is going to be key.
And what's your plan? Sorry,
what's my plan?
Yeah, if I was to say to you, what are you going to do next week? That's
the thing. I know exactly what I'm doing next week. Exactly.
Right.
But if I go 2 or 3 weeks into the future, then it's like I'm in a fortunate position that I have so much on at the moment that, it's great, fantastic end to the year. But I am so busy with all these deliveries that I do not have time, or have not had time, to plan for 2022 properly. So I feel like I'm really neglecting that. So I'd love to spend time doing it properly, looking at 2022. I had a very basic plan done for 2021, and I must look back on that and see where I came. Now, my one would have been changed quite a bit because of COVID and stuff, that just my business model changed completely, and like sponsorship was totally wiped out. That's one thing. So that's definitely something I need to look at. So I feel I've got an opportunity, I think, to look at this from scratch. And because I wasn't really happy with the planning for last year and the year before. So I really want to try and do this properly. And I have an old kind of business plan from probably it might even be longer than 3 years ago. So I must dig that out, have a look at that. And to be honest with you, I'd say it'd be like looking at a different business, because things have changed so much. But it'll just be interesting to see if I met some of those goals, or even just to use the structure or the same model that I used in that.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well. A few things start to come up for me when I think about these things. And he says, right, throw everything on a page, look at the things that you want to do. But then you have to start to say to yourself, right, there's loads of things you want to do. I probably have, if I probably need 50 years for what I want to do in 2022. So let's get real about it. You've got to get real. Be where you are. Like, first be where you are and realize, right, what's going on, where I am mentally, where I am physically, what can I actually give, what actually time do I have in terms of relationships and other areas of life where you need to give as well. So it's important to be realistic. And then with that, put everything on a page. But I think prioritizing and even rate it on a scale to 1 to 10, I think that's a great metric way of doing things, right? This is a 7 out of 10. That's a 9 out of 10. That's a 5 out of 10. And just rate things, gut reaction. Don't give too much time into it, and you'll see what's the most important. But I think then, like we're talking about a lot lately, what you call a quadrant 2 work. You need to be planning, you need to be doing this. But if you need to pay bills and get money in the door and you have to get a deliverable over the line, that becomes a very important priority that you need to get done. So it's important to sort of balance these things out as well. And maybe a nice rating scale. I think that's what I might do next week going forward, is really to rate all of these different things and get it to have a look at it that way, just to shine more awareness on it.
I like that idea. A rating scale. Tell me about how practical, or what kind of a level are you getting to when it comes to these tasks you have down? So let's say it could be the podcast or one of the new courses you want to develop in 2022. Okay, developing the course and bringing out the podcast is one thing. Actually promoting it, talking about it, sharing it, getting people to pay attention to it is a whole other thing. Are you including in your planning for 2022? Is that in there? The promotion, the sales, the marketing element of even completing it is one thing, but what about the promotion, getting it out there?
It's really interesting you say that, Brian. So the first course that I want to do next year, and I want to get it done by February, March, and it's going to be how to reverse the age of your brain. So for anyone that doesn't know my own story, I was in addiction for years, and I was lucky enough to get a scan of my brain in 2013 and a scan of my brain in 2018, and it actually reduced the age of my brain by 10 years. And neuroscience shows that sort of predicts mortality rate, cognitive decline, and stuff like that. So I very much got into this brain age stuff. Now, I had a blog on that done really well. So what I plan to do in March is to create this course, really go deep into the science of brain age reversal. So it'll be meditation, sleep, exercise, nutrition. I'm going to go deep on those elements as well. But as the marketing component of that, obviously I'm going to use my social media channels. I'm going to use my newsletter, but I'm also going to write a blog and do a video that is going to be a direct funnel to sell that. So I'm going to release the blog, release the video, and have links then straight away that's going to drive that course as well. And I think the one thing that I was saying there, next year I want to dedicate Monday to my newsletter and to content creation, which is specifically going to be a marketing funnel for the courses. So that's going to be an ongoing thing. And if the new website coming online, if the new brand coming online, I'm going to focus everything and bring everything towards the website. So it's sort of an ongoing process throughout the year. Is going to be the marketing stuff. And then as I create these courses, they should just fit nicely into the slots that go with that as well. So that's the plan. And it feels very concrete. Now that you asked me that question, actually it feels a lot more concrete, and I can see it. I can visualize what's going to be happening there. But again, planning is critical because I need to give this the time and I need to be realistic about it as well.
Excellent. Yeah. I love the idea of dedicating days to that news, to that content creation. That's something that just becomes a task where not even sure which day to allocate to. It just happens when I have a bit of time at the moment.
Yeah.
It's one of those things though, isn't it though? Like if Monday, like if you're booked for something, you've got a workshop, if something else comes up, that's kind of going to take priority, isn't it? But as best as you can, I'd imagine you're going to try and keep your Mondays then for the content creation.
Well, it's really interesting, Brian. It really fits into planning. So here's what happened to me last week, right? I rarely miss a week of my newsletter, right? And I missed last week. So purposely, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to go bi-weekly with my newsletter. I haven't made a decision on that yet. And then I had to do my newsletter this week as well. So on Monday morning, I went down to create a video. And the video I wanted to create was why we drink, why some people drink and drink too much alcohol. And I was doing the video, I was getting stressed, I was getting angry, I was getting annoyed. And what had actually happened was I didn't prepare properly for the video. And I was going away to Cavan. I says, I need to get my newsletter done. I says, I need to walk away from this. And I went to the gym, and while I was at the gym for the hour before I went away for the weekend, it was like all of these things hit me. I didn't prepare properly for it. I start blaming other people, saying I shouldn't even be going to Cavan. Do you know what? And I could see it all coming together. And the day before that, with my partner's daughter, we were sitting down. She's only 7, and I was saying, failure is actually a good thing. It's like if you fail, that means it's an opportunity to learn. And I was trying to get this mindset into an early age, because I think it's really important for kids to learn these lessons, not drilling into them, just planting a little seed. And I had this realization myself that I was failing on that. I was getting stressed. I was getting angry, and I wasn't living my own truth. So that's what I says, right? Chill out, walk away. I got a bit of space around that, and I got it into my head, right? I hadn't planned the video. That was the key piece. So I'm going to do another video now this week. I'm hoping to do it tomorrow on this experience of reframing failure when you're angry and stressed, because that's the real thing that people want the opportunity it's a real skill I think people need, especially when you're under stress. But the big thing was I hadn't planned. I actually just thought I could jump in, do the video like that, and I hadn't actually planned. So there was a lesson learned in that as well. But I need to dedicate a full day to that, because you can't just jump in and do stuff, because it will be amateur. That's the reality of it.
Yeah. You weren't tempted to send just a very quick newsletter saying, like, 2 lines, what happened, and saying, look, I'm pretty much taking a break this week. I'm off to Cabra Castle kind of thing.
Yeah, no,
see you next week.
I was going to do that, and I actually done one video, and I says it just wasn't up to scratch, and I says no, I'm going to get it done at the end of the week. But I was very tempted to do that, but in the end I didn't. And it's sort of like one of the reasons I have it on my Instagram, where I create a video that's sort of, I give a video once a week. I give it on Instagram, LinkedIn, and my newsletter. And yeah, maybe I should have done that. Maybe I should have done that, but I didn't in the end. Yeah.
Interesting. Now we must have a chat with, another session we'll talk about content. We'll talk about the content we're creating. That's I think that's definitely that can take up a whole session or 2.
Definitely.
back to the planning then, in general for 2022. Do you like where would you where should I start then? Because I've had it on my list for the last 2 or even 3 weeks now to
Yeah,
do my plan for 2022, and I just haven't got around to it. And I even had the communications plan for the end of the year, and I didn't get to that
yeah.
this week. What should I be doing? It sounds like I like the idea of just brainstorming, just getting it down on paper first of all. Tasks, few items, like is it courses, is it maybe some of the work with Trinity, the podcast. I already have the podcast. Maybe it's my own, the Workwell Institute. Just getting stuff around that, just getting them all on paper, and then seeing what else is there and starting there.
Yeah, did you know the first place I'd start, Brian, if I was you, I'd go back over your old business plans because that could spark ideas of what was there, what you missed, and I'll give you a little framework. But I think brainstorming is critical, and what I would highly recommend is that you plan to do that in the morning one of the days, like 8 o'clock, 8:30, whenever you start. Do the brainstorm early instead of doing it later in the day, and it can just sort of fizzle out a little bit as well. So start early in the day, do the brainstorm, and then maybe the following day set more time aside. Now you'll know what way you work best. But I define things just sort of process in the background. I could be just like out having a walk. I could be in the gym. I could be having a shower. Things jump into my head and I say, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. So, but I think what's critical as well is to have more specificity around it as well. Like if you say to yourself, right, what I'm planning for 2022, it's a very vague question, that way. So you could say to yourself, right, what are the short-term goals that I want to nail? What are the long-term goals? What are opportunities through COVID? Like ask yourself a couple of specific questions to trigger you in a certain direction. Like COVID is as bad as everything is. It's an opportunity in other areas as well. So something that I was looking at there last week, I done a bit of research on Instagram, and I was saying, what psychological needs are people missing because of ongoing COVID? And the big thing that came back is a lack of connection. And I know it's the physical connection as well. And then all of a sudden I'm asked to do a talk on 2FM now soon about deep conversations with strangers. Apparently there's a lot of research out there that's saying that we love these deep conversations with strangers, but we never activate them. We never sort of push towards that. We feel it's going to be awkward. So that got a thing going in my head around deep conversations, is connection, something. So it's just sort of asking yourself some specific questions as well of what you could potentially do. What could you do in the first 2 weeks of 2022? If 2022, if you only had a month to get everything in 2022 done, what 3 things would you do in that month? And that really squeeze the priorities in for you and get you to think in a different way. So be specific with the questions of your brainstorming as well, just to get you to get some creative thinking going as well.
Very good. Yeah, no, I like that. So brainstorm first, maybe break it up into time quadrants. Then could be by quarter in 2022 or by month even.
Yeah,
you're drilling down, and then take it from there. And then look what's revenue generating, what's not, what's more of a long-term investment. This kind of idea.
Yeah, watch your pro bono work if that's something you're doing as well. So just to get it all in there, because it's like we're going to forget stuff. Other stuff is going to bounce in there. Life is going to get in the way. So I think white space is a key as well. Plan for some white space for whether it's R&R, whether it's extra work you can get done, whether it's going to be a curveball that life is going to throw your way. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think have a bit of white space in there as well is crucial.
Plan for white space,
Plan for white space.
Plenty of white space.
Definitely. Yeah.
So listen, what are your targets now for next week? I think we should continue this conversation next week, or we should check in again on where we both are with this.
Yeah.
We both have work to do on this. It's coming to the end of the year, so I think we should check in again on this, on our planning for 2022, and maybe what we've picked up, what we've learned, the progress we've made in the last week.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of my big ones now for next week. So I have I have my PhD Viva coming up. So my big PhD test is on the 17th. So one of my big ones for this weekend, I'm going to reread my thesis. I have my slides kind of done for that, and then I have a practice run on Monday. It's a pilot trial of that with the group in Trinity College. So that whole thesis bound thing for the practice run and the prep, that's one of my goals for this week. My second goal is and this is an interesting one, it's catching up. I need to catch up on the stuff that's sort of gotten away from me so I can make space for Q2. So I sort of recognize I've actually too many fires to put out at the moment. So I need to put out all of these fires because they are burning. They really are burning, and they're going to burn the house down if I don't put them out. So I need to put them fires out so I can actually make space for the following week. So that's a big goal for me this week. And then the second one, the third one that we're going to do is planning. I want to dig into the planning and then share my insights with yourself and with anyone listening for next week.
Brilliant. Yeah, that all sounds good. So I'll do the same in terms of the planning then. That's on my list. Just got to get some work done on that.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, what I put down here is all related to the plan, because I actually need to focus on that this week. It's brainstorm exercise. I've got my communications plan for between now and the end of the year, just getting some content out there to the community. And then it's the plan for 2022 and how all that fits into the plan. So that's what at least a start on that. I need to get a start on that. And so I'll have an update on those 3 for next week.
Yeah. Do you know what's something that jumped out at me there, Brian? It's the biggest tool in that has had the biggest benefit for me when I actually use it. And I remember a mentor of mine, I'm always bringing up Mick Slane on the show, but it's this principle called inversion. Inversion simply means to invert, turn upside down. So instead of asking yourself, like, what will make the project move forward, you could say, what is holding the project back? So Mick has often said to me, instead of doing a to-do list, do a not-to-do list. And I think we're planning for 2022. So for anyone out there, right, planning for 2022, but do a not-to plan for 2022. So what are the things you want to cross off the list that used to be on the list that isn't going to serve you? What are the things that are on your horizons that aren't going to serve you? They're like, if we were doing the rating system, they'd be 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10s, because 7 out of 10 is like a FOMO. It's a fear of missing out on something. You're going to do it. But then things that aren't high priority, get a list of them and cross them off. So you're bringing awareness into that as well. And I think that could be a really crucial tool for people to do as well.
Very good, yeah. So would you, like, I guess it makes sense, but looking back on this year, look back and look what was successful this year, what brought me success in whatever form that is it revenue, is it followers, is it recognition, whatever it might be, and do more of that, and maybe pick off the items, rule out the items that, look, that was okay, it was nice to do, but it didn't generate anything for me. Nothing.
Yeah. That's it. And it brings me back to the Movember thing I done. Now, I enjoyed it. I got 600-700 quid up for men's mental health, which was brilliant. But it brings me back to that thing. I half-assed it. I really half-assed it. And I think a big one for me next year, I don't want to half-ass anything. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to half-ass it, it's going to be a no. So I've noticed there was a lot of things for me this year that there were 7 out of 10s. There were 7 out of 10s. Will I, won't I? It might be a missed opportunity. There's going to be more no's of that. So I think something for me I want to do next week is a not to do list for 2022. That's going to be one of my big things for next week.
Not to do list.
Not to do list for 2022.
Yeah. Brilliant. So no 7 out of 10s and no half-arsing.
Yeah.
For next year. You heard it here first. Okay. Brilliant. Listen, Brian, great chat as always.
Yeah, love this, man. Looking forward to next week. This will be really interesting. Continuation of this to see where we're at, keeping each other highly accountable.
Highly accountable. This is why we're doing it. Like, if I wasn't doing this, if I didn't have this in the diary for next week, I would not get to this planning. I just wouldn't.
Just wouldn't happen. Yeah. Same as myself. 100%. Brilliant.
Listen, thanks to everyone for watching as well, for keeping us both accountable. Really appreciate it. And we will talk to you again next week. Have a good week, Brian.
Bye-bye.
See you.